Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagawatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Naishtabreshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktin Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Status Quo, Chapter 7, titled Further Inquiries by Vidura. We are now on text 11. Yata Jale Chandra Masaha Yata Jale Chandra Masaha Kampatis Tatkrito Gunaha Kampatis Tatkrito Gunaha Drishyate San Api Drastur Drishyate Dan Api Drastur Atmano Nanatmano Gunaha Atmanam Atmano Gunaha Jale Yata Jale Chandram Masaha Kampadis Tat Prito Gunaha Drishyate Sanapi Drastur Atmano Atmano Gunaha Yata Jale Chandram Masaha Kampadis Tat Prito Gunaha Drishyate Sanapi Drastur Atmano Natmano Gunaha Yata Jale Chandram Masaha Kampadis Tat Prito Gunaha Drishyate Sanapur Drastur Atmano Atmano Gunaha. Please chant.
Yata Jale Chandra
Yata Jale Chandra Masaha
Kampadis Takrito Gunaha
Kampadis Takrito Gunaha
Drishyate Sanapi Drastur
Drishyate Sanapi Drastur
Atmano Natmano Gunaha
Atmano Atmano Gunaha.
Yata Jale Chandra Masaha
Yata Jale Chandra Masaha
Kampadis Takrito Gunaha
Kampadis Takrito Gunaha
Drishyate Sanapi Drastur
Drishyate Sanapi Drastur Atmano Atmano Gunaha.
Yata Jale Chandra Masaha
Yata Jale Chandra Masaha
Kampadis Takrito Gunaha
Kampadis Takrito Gunaha
Drishyate Sanapi Drastur
Drishyate Sanapi Drastur
Atmano Atmano Gunaha
Atmano Atmano Gunaha. Yata Jale Chandra Masaha Kampadis Takrito Gunaha Drishyate
Yatajale Chandramasa
Yatajale Chandramasa
Ampadista Krito Gunaha
Ampadista Krito Gunaha
Drishyate Sanapi Drashtur
Drishyate Sanapi Drashtur
Atmano Natmano Gunaha
Atmano Natmano Gunaha
Yatajale Tramantasa
Yatajale Chandramasa
Adhistat Kritu Gunaha
Ampadista Krito Gunaha
Drishyate San Apigrastur
Drishyate Sanapi Drashtur
Atmano Natmana Guna
Atmano Natmano Gunaha Yata as Jale in the water Chandramasa of the moon Kampadi quivering etc. Tatkrita done by the water Guna quality Drishyate it is so seen Asanapi without existence Drastum of the seer Atmanaha of the self Anatmanaha of other than the self Gunaha quality. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As the moon reflected on water appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water, so the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter. Please repeat. As the moon reflected on water appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water. So the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter. The Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead, is compared to the moon in the sky, and the living entities are compared to the reflection of the moon on the water. The moon in the sky is fixed and does not appear to quiver like the moon on the water. Actually, like the original moon in the sky, the moon reflected on the water should also not quiver. But because of being associated with water, the reflection appears to be quivering. Although in actual fact the moon is fixed, the water moves, but the moon does not move. Similarly, the living entities appear to be tainted by material qualities like illusion, lamentation, and miseries. Although in the pure soul such qualities are completely absent. The word pratikyate, which means apparently and not actually, like the experience of having one's head cut off in a dream, is significant here. The reflection of the moon on the water is the separate rays of the moon and not the actual moon. The separated parts and parcels of the Lord, entangled in the water of material existence, have the quivering quality, whereas the Lord is like the actual moon in the sky, which is not at all in touch with water. The light of the sun and moon reflected on matter makes the matter bright and praiseworthy. The living symptoms are compared to the light of the sun and the moon illuminating material manifestations like trees and mountains. The reflection of the sun or the moon is accepted as the real sun or moon by less intelligent men, and the pure monistic philosophy develops from these ideas. The fact that the light of the sun and the moon are actually different from the sun and the moon themselves, although they are always connected. The light of the moon spread throughout the sky appears to be impersonal, but the moon planet, as it is personal, and the living entities on the moon planet are also personal. In the rays of the moon, different material entities appear to be comparatively more or less important. The light of the moon on the Taj Mahal appears to be more beautiful than the same light in the wilderness. Although the light of the moon is the same everywhere, due to being differently appreciated, it appears different. Similarly, the light of the Lord is equally distributed everywhere, but due to being differently received, it appears to be different. One should not therefore accept the reflection of the moon on the water as actual and misunderstand the whole situation through monistic philosophy. The quivering quality of the moon is also variable. When the water is standing still, there is no quivering. A more settled conditioned soul quivers less, but due to material connection, the quivering quality is more or less present everywhere. Om Gana Timrandasya Janantana Salakaya Chakshur Militanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadanmayam Tadanti Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Pitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is such a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. So many stunning analogies. Really very beautiful. And it's interesting because Srila Prabhupada was recognized by so many people because he was not a quivering moon. Once, when we were greeting Srila Prabhupada in the airport in LA, in those days it was so nice because we all could go right up to the gate and Prabhupada would get off, and even someone would go down the jet bridge and put a garland on Prabhupada before he even got out of the jet bridge. So when he came in, he was just so beautiful, so glowing and so effulgent. And he was also very, very happy to see his disciples there to greet him, which with such enthusiasm, a bit much enthusiasm maybe, the airport people might have thought, because we came in such huge numbers, hundreds. And when we came, it was overwhelming. There was no TSA or security, and we all just came to the gate in any which way we could, jumping over benches and carrying all kinds of paraphernalia, big umbrellas and vyasasans and flowers. And then, we left pretty quickly, leaving flower petals everywhere. It was quite a transcendental experience. And actually, many of the airport people enjoyed it. They did. They very much appreciated our spontaneous, ecstatic visits. But in this one time when Srila Prabhupada came into the waiting area, he came and he sat down and in the waiting room, and the devotees surrounded him. I was standing actually behind Srila Prabhupada. And so when another plane arrived, I had the view of many businessmen. This plane was full of very well-dressed businessmen getting off the plane. And so when they first came into the waiting room, they were a little shocked to see all these Hare Krishnas. in all our displays of Krishna consciousness. You know, it was in those days, you know, all the dhotis got dirty clothes, saris, everything got dumped into these big, huge trash cans. Somebody took them to the laundromat, threw them in the washing machine, then threw them in the dryer and threw them back in the garbage can and brought them back to and everybody had to sort through and find something to wear. So not everybody matched in a pleasing kind of way. It was very spontaneous and unique. And so, I mean, the devotees and, you know, and people were not used to seeing shaved heads. And some of our sikhs were very large and some were very small. And we were very unique. And so these businessmen, they first started looking out at the devotees. And you could see them snickering and laughing and pointing at the different devotees. And then their eyes fell on Srila Prabhupada. And their whole expression changed, completely changed. It went from whimsical folly to actually respect. And they looked at Prabhupada. You could tell they were curious. Who is this person? Because he has something about him. So Srila Prabhupada was not associating in any way with the material nature. And that's what we all found so attractive. One of the things we all found so attractive about him. So beautiful. So in society, everything is promoting association with material energy. All the governments are promoting buy, enjoy your senses. And even like in this pandemic when nobody could work and they couldn't make any money, the government gave them money. Go buy. And much to the chagrin that people were paying off their credit cards, they were realizing we don't need all this stuff. We don't do anything. So, and what to say of our great institutions? America's famous for its learning, colleges, universities. But what are they teaching? They're teaching get this education so you can make this kind of money, but when the college students come out, they can't get jobs. That particular field may be flooded with people already, or maybe even Vishwabhara said the other day that what he majored in is not even existing anymore. So it's foolishness. And what to say of the media? The media is so powerful. And I really get excited when I see our intelligent youth creating media that's promoting Krishna consciousness. Because people are so absorbed in the media, whether it be through Facebook or whatever, the Instagram, I don't know, all these things. And then what to say of TV, it's on all the time. And what is it doing? It's promoting illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, gambling, all these terrible things. And what does religion do? What does religion do? It teaches people how to pray to get more money. It's nonsense. But we can learn from the Bhagavad Gita in the 13th chapter. Actually, we'll go to the 5th chapter. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their sense objects and that he is aloof from them. And in the 13th chapter, it goes on to explain that one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually is the seer. The body is made by nature. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for the distress, one is forced to do because of the body's constitution. And what is that bodily constitution? That is the combination of the three modes of material nature. The self is separate from the bodily activities. The body is given according to one's desires. And it's fulfilling the desires of the living entity. The transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from the bodily activities. One who has such vision is an actual seer. We like to see ourselves as the controller, as the doer, and the mind is more than supportive of that illusion that I'm the controller, that I'm the enjoyer, that I'm the master of my own little world and the center of my drama. It's all about me. And the living entity travels through so many bodies, but never really experiences the happiness that he so craves. And the Bhagavad Gita goes on in chapter 13 to explain, when a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains the Brahman conception, the spiritual understanding. Those with a vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature, despite contact with the material body. O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. So it appears to be born, and it appears to have all these bodily certifications. And this is the material conception of life. This is Maya's perfect arrangement to keep the living entity entangled in this bodily illusion of the bodily conception. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman, Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. So this is the soul. It's here, but it's not here. It's situated here according to the consciousness. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates the universe, so does the living entity. One within the body illuminates the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to the supreme goal. And Srila Prabhupada could definitely see the difference between our soul and our bodies. And when he looked at us, that's what we felt. He did not look at us like a body. He looked at us like a spirit soul. Even from his very youth, Srila Prabhupada, he was seeing the spiritual, appreciating the spiritual. Even a very young boy, he talks about how he would fly kites with his sister. And you know, we probably all flew kites at one time or another. When Srila Prabhupada flew a kite, he prayed to Krishna, please, let my kite fly up in the sky. And then when he was just 5 or 6 years old, he desired to have a Rath Yatra festival. This is so significant, you know. I mean, this day a child may desires a festival, but like Srila Prabhupada said in LA in the 70s, I was not playing. He was serious. And his father, Gaur Mohan, a pure devotee and wonderful father, he took Srila Prabhupada, he took Amai, he took him out to a different carpenter shops to try and get a cart. And there was nothing that he could afford. It became very discouraging. So they were headed home, and Amai was crying. And some old Bengali woman saw him crying, and she went up to Gaur Mohan and said, what is the matter with your son? And he says, well, we wanted a cart for Rath Yatra, but I can't afford it. She said, I have a cart. And so she gave Srila Prabhupada this cart, 3 feet tall. It needed some repairs. And so Gaur Mohan and Srila Prabhupada repaired and decorated the cart exactly like the carts in Puri. Prabhupada insisted, exactly like the carts in Puri. And then he arranged in the neighborhood for the different ladies to cook preparations for a feast for 8 days, just like in Puri. And then they had this wonderful festival, and the whole neighborhood came. And Gaur Mohan's friends, they complained to Gaur Mohan, "Hey, Baba, what is this? You're having a festival and you didn't invite us?" And Gaur Mohan said, "This is for the children." And they said, "No, the children, we can appreciate this as well." But Srila Prabhupada, he had the vision. He saw the importance, he saw the value of the spirit and the importance of promoting the spirit. You know, he had, Gaur Mohan, he would meet a sadhu, he would ask the sadhu, "Please pray for my son to become a devotee of Srimati Radharani." And so, but after some time, they became a little discouraged with sadhus, because sadhus were falling. They were becoming intoxicated, they were just begging, they were just being fools. And they became a little bit disillusioned with sadhus, and even when he went to Puri, he became very disillusioned with sadhus. So one evening, he was walking home with his friend, Narendranath Malik, and his friend said, "Listen, this sadhu is not far from here. I want you to come and meet him and tell us what you think." So Srila Prabhupada's friends, even when at a young age, they thought of him as a leader. And so he said, "Come on." And Srila Prabhupada said, "Oh, I wish to decline the invitation. I've met too many sadhus. I'm not appreciating sadhus. I don't want to go." But Narendranath was insistent. He was pulling on Srila Prabhupada. So there was a bit of a tussle. And thank goodness he was so insistent, because he forced Srila Prabhupada to come and meet this sadhu who was sitting on a rooftop in the evening, that hot evening. And as soon as Srila Prabhupada saw Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, he saw him sitting so very straight. He saw that his tilak was applied very pucker. He saw he had tulsi neck beads. He saw he was sannyas, very nicely adorned with sannyas dress, pucker dress. And then he saw he had intelligent features, a broad forehead, the sharp nose. He saw his effulgence. This moon was not quivering. This moon was fixed. And he saw that he immediately paid his prostrate obeisances. But before he could even get up from paying his obeisances, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave him an instruction. "Why don't you, young educated men, travel throughout the world giving the message of Lord Chaitanya?" And Srila Prabhupada thought, we have not even made pleasantries yet, and he's giving me instruction. So Srila Prabhupada challenged him in a humble way, in a proper way, because the disciple does question the Guru. And he questioned him as to, well, how can we, Indians, impress anyone, because we are a controlled country by another country. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he convinced him. It was the first time Srila Prabhupada said he was defeated, and he liked it, because he was defeated with the truth of spiritual life. So from that instruction, he hung that instruction.
Jai Shri Mata Ki.
He hung that instruction in his heart for the rest of his life, even leaving his dear Vrindavan Dham, where he was completely absorbed in Harikatha. He was associating with Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami and so many exalted souls. He left to come to a country where he didn't even know if there would be something for him to eat. He got off that boat, he didn't know whether to go right or left. He suffered 2 heart attacks coming. And when he came, yes, he was an interesting novelty. Many people saw, oh, he's got orange clothes and pointed white shoes. But they could not really understand his message or the value of his message. But slowly but surely, it started catching on, not to the intellectual classes like he had hoped, but to the classes that had rejected the society, and to the youth. And so from there, they saw that this moon did not quiver. This moon was fixed. And this moon had something that we can really value and that we can really take to heart. And through the years, even though Srila Prabhupada is gone, this moon is still shining. It's shining through his books, it's shining through his devotees, it's shining through his society. And the cost for this is very simple. It's our surrender to the sadhana and dedication to the sadhana. You know, there were these, in the 70s, the FBI was a little concerned about this new movement that had come. And so they sent 2 undercover agents to check it out. We want you to do whatever they tell you to do. Just go and join the movement, and we want to know what's going on in the inside. So you let us know if there are drugs or sex trafficking or whatever. You let us know. So these 2 young FBI agents, they joined the LA Temple. They shaved up, they got their bead bags, and they followed instructions completely, surrendered to the temple commanders. And in a short time, they became Hare Krishna devotees. They left the FBI. Prabhupada used to say in his lectures, he would sometimes say, just come and stay with us for 1 week and chant Hare Krishna, eat prasada. In that way, we become captured by this ability not to quiver so much. So I thank you very much for your attention. Glories to Prabhupada. Do we have any questions? We have a couple of
Comment?
Yes.
These so-called FBI agents, I suppose they didn't read Monkey on a Stick.
No, that was before.
Oh, before. They got by before that.
Yes, yes.
I'm curious if those agents ever revealed their.
Yeah, they did. That's how I know the story.
Said sorry, Prabhupada, to admit we're secret agents. We're not anymore. So.
We called them the Men in Black.
They were in orange.
Oh,
Orange is the new black. Yes.
I had actually a question. I was wondering, you said consciousness comes from sky?
No. This is an analogy that the sky is like our consciousness. Our consciousness pervades this body. Like the sky pervades everything. It's everywhere. The sky inside this phone here. The sky inside the microphone. But it's not a part of the microphone.
Okay.
It's different, and we are different from these bodies. We identify them, that identification of this body is the illusion.
Okay.
How did Prabhupada react to that situation? I think that's really great.
He laughs.
That was funny.
Prabhupada understood how potent all this is. Sometimes from our perspective, we just, we do what we're supposed to do every day, right? And sometimes we find it challenging. We find it difficult, because of our illusions. But Prabhupada was never an illusion. He always understood the potency of chanting Hare Krishna, the potency of going to Mangalartik, and the potency of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why he set up the society the way it is. You go to any Hare Krishna temple at certain times, like Mangalartik time, Mangalartik is going on. You go, Bhagavatam is going on. It's like a family. You know what's happening. You fit right in immediately. And that's the only thing that's happening in this world. Other mats, they're practically dead. 7 o'clock in the morning. No one's there. No one's chanting. You're lucky if you find the doors open. But this is Prabhupada. He installed this process, and it's continuing on. And how many years has it been since he left, huh? And it's growing. It's developing in countries that we never thought it could. Any Jai, all glories to Shiva.